this video, we'll do a quick review of the Pythagorean theorem, something you've probably done many times in your mathematical career so far. But the Pythagorean theorem is a way to find a missing side length of a right triangle. Again, a right triangle is one that has a right angle or a 90-degree angle. The other two angles then, of course, are both acute. The correct verbiage for these three side lengths is that the two side lengths that make up the 90-degree angle are called legs. And then the side length that is across from the 90-degree angle, the longest one, is called the hypotenuse. Using the Pythagorean theorem, we call the legs A and B. They may be switched, but the hypotenuse is always C. The Pythagorean theorem is the relationship between those sides A, B, and C, and it is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That is your Pythagorean theorem, and that is what we will be using to find the missing side length of right triangles in these next two examples. Okay, here we're looking for the hypotenuse, side C. So I'm going to write out a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and fill in what we know. 7 can be a and 24 could be b, or we could reverse them. That doesn't matter, so long as the hypotenuse is c. So I will fill in 7 for A and 24 for B, and we're looking for C. We'll get 49 plus 576 equaling C squared. We can add these two together since they're on the same side. So when we add 49 and 576, we'll get 625 equals C squared. That's what c squared is. In order to find c, we have to take the square root. The square root of c squared is c, and 625 is a perfect square. Its square root is 25. Now, does this make sense? The hypotenuse is always the longest side length of a right triangle. That would make sense since 25 is greater than 24 or 7. So that makes sense. And you can always plug them back in and make sure that they work. In our next example, we also have a right triangle, but this time we know what C is. C is 18 because it's the hypotenuse, and then we're looking for A, so 8 is B. It's the other leg. So we'll fill in our Pythagorean theorem with what we know. We'll fill in 8 for B and 18 for C. Then we'll have A squared plus 64 equals 324. I had to make sure that that's what that was. All right, now we'll subtract 64 because we're looking for A, so we need to get A squared all by itself. When we subtract that, we get 260. So we get that A squared is 260. Now 260, if you try to find the square root, you will get a decimal, and that is because 260 is not a perfect square. Its square root is irrational. And so we need to break down or simplify the square root of 260. If you did not watch that video about simplifying radicals, that's where I go more into detail about how to do this. The biggest perfect square that fits into 260 is actually 4. So it becomes 4 times 65 gets us to 260. Then 4 can be crossed out and brought out as 2. So we get 2 root 65 as our exact answer for the leg length A.